Welcome everybody, and take a moment to find your place, find your cushion, your mat, your sitting position. I want in this relaxation to explore different levels of feeling at peace, and it's an invitation, so please, as we move into the practice, recognize that any stage might be the right stage for you, any stage might be enough for you. So no need to force it or worry what's happening if the next stage doesn't feel right. Just stay with wherever the place for you is that feels right. And so inviting yourself in, first of all, to feel that little bit more comfortable, to give yourself that 5 or 10% care and attention. Make the small adjustment that you need to make so that your body can really fall into a place of rest. And take 3 really big in-breaths and sighs. So a really big in-breath. And then release it with a big to do that in your own time. Maybe as you do that, as I do it, I can feel the weight lift off my shoulders. So hopefully you've taken 3, and I'd like you to, first of all, just let yourself experience that feeling of kind of closing the door on the world. To use those 3 big sighs to let yourself have that feeling as though all that noise, all the happenings around you, you've managed to close the door on them. It's that feeling of you sit down on the sofa with your cup of tea, or you lie in a hot bath, or perhaps it's at the end of the day in your bed where you think, I've done my work for the day. And I'm noticing for myself as the world is getting busier around us again, it can be useful to remember that doesn't mean we have to get busy as well. So this first level of relaxation, this first level of peace, that closing the door feeling, there's no need for interruption, there's nothing you need to be doing, nothing you need to know right now. And to let that absorb through you for a moment. That feeling of right now, you've bracketed this time for relaxation. There's nothing more you need to do, quite literally. Just to be here and either follow my words or drift into your own space. And as you close the door on the outside world, there's a quietness, a level of peace here. But perhaps you're also noticing that your attention turns inward. And here we find our bodies and our minds with all the emotions, the thoughts, the images, things we've forgotten, remembered, things we need to think about. We kind of turn and find that busyness mirrored internally. So let us acknowledge that internal world. Excuse me. Acknowledge what's here. And maybe take a moment, is there an emotion or a thought or a sensation in the body that needs a little bit of attention, a small acknowledgement maybe, to recognize it's there, but without it taking ownership of this space. And if there's an emotional thought that really needs some attention, can you say to it, not now, and make an agreement with yourself that you'll come back to it later? And for now, instead, turning towards a sense of inner peace, turning towards recognizing a sense of inner peace. And we'll use the body and the breath to help us with that. And let's actually today start with the breath. And it may help to place your hands on your belly, to really involve the belly in the breath, to use the belly to encourage a deeper breath as the belly rises on the in-breath and contracts down on the out-breath. Can you encourage that movement in the belly? A movement that also brings with it a sense of softening. There's no forcing here. So feeling the rise and the fall of the breath. And as you're still encouraging the breath with the belly, can you also allow the rest of the lungs to expand as well? For the mid-lungs to fill up with the breath, and for the upper chest to also fill up with the breath. So it becomes a really full breath. Again, without force. It's almost as though if we bring our attention to those different places, if we bring our attention to the belly, the mid-chest, the upper chest, it's almost as if we find in that moment that they open up a little bit anyway. We can notice how on the in-breath the shoulders roll back, perhaps getting a small massage off the floor. That feeling of the mid-chest kind of opening up and closing with each breath. And noticing for a moment, which is longer, your in-breath or your out-breath? Just observe it for a few moments to see. And then when you reach the top of your next in-breath, start to slow down the exhale, either as a gentle, smooth release or staggering it with a pause a couple of times. So you may breathe out a little bit, pause, breathe out a little bit more, pause, and breathe out the end. So a single smooth in-breath followed by an out-breath that's pausing or just slowing down. And see if it's possible gently, really gently, to encourage that out-breath to slow down to the point where it's about twice as long as the in-breath. I'm going to leave you in a bit of silence to really find that rhythm for yourself. So if you're counting in for 2 on the in-breath, try and make the out-breath the count of 4. Using the pauses if you need to. Being gentle, being soft with your breath, staying close to it. Observing it as though it's the only thing in the world that has your attention. Feeling all the movement of the body around it. We'll start to use the breath. It's already slowing down here. It's already quietening down the nervous system. It's already helping us find and experience this sense of inner peace. Let's use the breath to also invite the body to relax that bit further. So when you reach the bottom of your next exhale, as you inhale, imagine the breath moving down the whole of your right leg. So it fills up all the way down to the toes. And then as the breath releases, inviting the whole of the right leg to release as well. And we'll do that 2 or 3 times. So the breath, the in-breath, without any force, but being directed down your right leg. And the exhale, releasing all the tension. It's as if that in-breath is hollowing out the right leg, releasing all the inner tension. And the exhale, joining in to release all the external tensions. The whole of the right leg letting go, releasing unnecessary tension. And now switching attention to the left leg. Each breath filling up the left leg on the inhale, and then releasing all the tension on the exhale. Try and feel it without using your eyes to follow it. The left leg hollowing out on the in-breath and releasing all the tension on the out-breath. And feel the breath hollowing out both legs together and releasing the tension in both legs together. And letting the breath guide the release of tension down your left arm. So breathing into the shoulder, down the arms into all the fingers, and then the out breath, releasing all of that tension. Shifting the focus of bringing the breath to the right shoulder and the right arm. All the way down to the fingers, releasing the tension. And both arms together and shoulders. The breath filling up, expanding out, hollowing out, releasing the tension on the inside of the arms and the shoulders. And the out breath, releasing all the external tension. And then feel the breath now, releasing the arms, moving up into the head and all the muscles of the head and the face. Can you feel the breath lift up into the head space internally, hollowing out from the inside out, letting all those muscles on the surface hollow out, release from the inside, and the out breath inviting them to release on the outside too. The head muscles, the face muscles, the neck muscles. A sense of inner expansion of hollowing out on the in-breath, an external release on the out-breath. Really notice how the muscles of the eyes, the jaw, the forehead, the temples, back of the head, top of the head, all these muscles letting go of any unnecessary tension with every out-breath. And then just coming back to the flow of the breath as it is, just letting it follow its own rhythm, its own place. And sensing for a moment this place of inner stillness, of inner peace, with the gentle movement of the breath. Notice how we've closed the door on the external world. And now we've also calmed down this internal world to find stillness here. And it may be you want to rest here, to abide in this space. You may want to come along to another level of peace. And we'll find it by first of all noticing the breathing again. Noticing the very top of the inhale, followed by the exhale. Just notice that brief pause at the top of the inhale as the exhale releases. As your attention comes to that pause, without forcing the breath to pause, by the way, it's just the pause that's naturally there. At the top of the next inhale, let your attention rest on that pause and stay in that pause as the out-breath continues. And the breath comes back to meet you again on the in-breath. You stay in this place of the pause. Noticing the stillness, the depth of stillness in this place of pause. To notice how, when you step into this pause, it's like you've stepped into the place of an observer of everything that's coming and going. The place of a still and spacious observer as the breath comes and goes, sensations come and go, emotions and thoughts, images, memories, desires all come and all go. All the while, you abide in this place of the peaceful observer. This third level of peace. And you may want to stay here. You may want to move back into the breath and the body and that sense of inner peace. Or to stay imagining that you've just closed the door on the outside world. You're on your sofa with a cup of tea. So whether you're finding the peace in the silence from the outside world, whether you're resting in that inner peace, or staying in this place of the watchful observer, this pausing place, you can stay in either of these places. You can also come along one stage further. Start to notice the space around you. To notice the space out in front of you. The space out behind you. The space out to the left and to the right. The space below you and above you. Not separate from. You might notice how when we pay attention to this space, our breath starts to feel less personal. It becomes more of a global breath, breathing with the room around us. And notice how here too is another level of peace. Spacious peace of in an unchanging stillness. An expansive sense of peace. And notice how here there's a depth of knowing, there's a depth to the quality of your experience, if it's available to you. And knowing that this spaciousness stays with you, the stillness of this spaciousness stays with you, the peace of it. And so too, this peace of being the observer is here too. And falling into the body, this inner peace, even to the extent that we can start to imagining opening the door on the world, but this sense of peace staying with us. Find your way back into this body, into the envelope of this body, to the sensations of this body. And as you do, remind it to stay released. It doesn't need to contract. Find your way gently back into the sensations of your feet, your toes, your hands, fingers. Feel where your body's in contact with the floor or the cushions or the chair. The back of the head perhaps supported, and bring your attention to the sensation in your eyes. Can you crunch your eyes up a bit and then maybe just blink them open briefly and close them again? Can you squeeze your mouth together like a lemon, not like a lemon, as if you were tasting a lemon? And then blow it up like it's a balloon. And release. And actually tense up your hands and your arms. Tense them tight and release. Tense up your feet and your legs and release. Take a big stretch and gradually open your eyes fully. Stretching your hands, your feet, any parts of your body. Really come into being in this place. And my hope is that sense of peace on whichever level you met stays with you as a quality that you can bring into the world you can encounter and the people you meet. Thanks for joining me.